Hello everyone, good evening. This is the day 5 of this Cybersecurity Foundation program. I am Maharaj on behalf of BCBUZZ Technologies Private Limited, Coimbatore. I'm glad to welcome you all to the day 5 of this program. So this is something that we have covered a few days before, and those who are joining with us today, what you're looking at the screen is our Startup India certification DUNS number, Startup India DPIT number, Startup TN number, import export code, and so on. And as a company, what we do in terms of business, we have two different activities. One is EdTech, that comprises 15% of our engagements. The one that we are doing today, this 5 days of program in coordination with Computer Systems of India, is part of our EdTech initiatives. Apart from this, we also regularly conduct webinars. We engage with academic institutions for delivering upskilling programs, value-added courses, internships, and so on in a few domains, especially in cybersecurity, AI, and blockchain last year. Apart from this EdTech initiatives, our core focus is in cybersecurity consulting, auditing, and solutions for startups, MSMEs, small and medium businesses, and enterprises across the globe. In India as well as outside India, for example, in Australia, Middle East, North America, and so on. We do serve few clients. We have some partners, and we offer offensive security services, especially red teaming, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, and we are planning SOC in the next 3 to 4 months. So these are global partnerships. I'm just going to cross out the slide one by one. And if you have any questions regarding this session, the day 5 session, career opportunities, or if you have any queries related to the past sessions, or if you have any questions related to certificates or internships or placements, anything related to EdTech and our initiatives, please feel free to post it in the chat, and we will be able to answer you at the end of the session. So we are going live today in Graphy, the LMS platform, and also YouTube. The first time we are going live. That is the reason for the past 2 days we were technically fixing things to do this, the fifth session online instead of online webinar. We just wanted to go live in YouTube so that people who have this challenge to log into the LMS can also directly access the YouTube link and attend and get the insights as well. So we do have our expansion in Australia since 2023, and these are our partners, and we have collaborated with INE for cybersecurity education. We became partner last year, and we do have an expansion presence in Africa, Nigeria, through another partner. And this one slide is like highlighting the major partnership that we have in industry. And when it comes to EdTech engagements, we do have few MOUs in and around Coimbatore district and part of Tamil Nadu as well for the past 2.5 years. And some of the institutions are listed in these slides. What we have done, what we have delivered as part of our EdTech so far, we have delivered 140 plus online sessions. We have delivered 120 plus offline sessions, touch basing around 22,000 plus students through face-to-face interactions. Our online reach is having like 12,500 plus students registered in our LMS platform, and through faculty development programs, we have reached around 250 plus faculties across India, and so far we have engaged with around 100 plus academic institutions, and we do have one thing that we are really proud of, which is the SheGuards initiative. This is for empowering women in cybersecurity. We launched this last year, and this year, March 2025, moving from cybersecurity, we just delivered a program in terms of empowering women in technology, where we covered not only cybersecurity but also focused cloud and AI as well. This is a glimpse of the SheGuards launch last year, March 2024, and this is a launch program 2025, aligning to three sustainable development goals from UN. It started on 26th of April. Close to 815 learners, 815 plus learners from 15 plus countries participated in this SheGuards program in 2025. And of course, we delivered it free of cost. And for our clients' requirement, for some of our hiring requirements for our clients, we conducted a national cybersecurity placement assessment program on first week of September, 25th of September. Close to 1,000 plus students from institutions from Kashmir to Kanyakumari participated in this, and they benefited in terms of evaluating themselves how much they know in vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, red team and offensive security roles to enter as freshers. And we are glad to announce that we do have our own Android app in Google Play Store called Cyber, CYBR, from BCBUZZ Technologies. The same program that people have registered through LMS, learn.bizz.io, for attending the courses, for attending the webinars as well. They'll be able to download this Android app. They'll be able to join directly from the app as well. So coming back to the core cybersecurity services that we are offering as part of the major business activity in our company, primarily we focus on vulnerability assessment and penetration testing for startups, MSMEs, enterprises, and so on. And we are planning and we are in process of setting up our own SOC, managed SOC, as well as a SOC for the MSMEs, probably by March or April 2026. So in terms of cybersecurity, as most of you are already aware of, because this is what the 5 days of course focuses with, and also based on this as well, we are going to have our own discussion following the session today. The three major pillars of cybersecurity, as you know all, it's red team, purple team, and blue team. So we are specializing in offensive security, also called red team activities. That includes ethical hacking, penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, and so on. Since the day of establishing, starting from 2022 onwards. And in cybersecurity, there is another major team, that is the blue team, also called the defensive security team. Blue team includes specialties from threat intelligence, incident response, digital forensics, and so on. And the purple team is a team that governs the activities of both team in most of the places, and also they provide best practices. They provide documentation. If there is an activity between red team and blue team, there's a purple team that steps in and monitors it and provides best practices and so on. So when it comes to this offensive security penetration testing, we focus on few subdomains, because this session on career opportunities in cybersecurity is actually going to focus on some slides starting from this. So we're going to focus on few major domains a student or a fresher or a job seeker can start as an entry-level professional in cybersecurity. And we are going to have a little overview, discussion on some of the subdomains in cybersecurity, starting with the major one, that is web application vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. As you might know, all the businesses across the globe, and ever since digital transformation come into picture, and ever since cloud came into picture, every business who had the necessity to scale up to, who had the necessity to expand the business to serve uh, clients digitally, they have their own websites as one of their requirements. So when it comes to website, there are multiple technologies and platform. For example, content management system, we can say WordPress, Django, and so on. And there are websites, web application developed using platforms like PHP, MySQL, .NET, Angular. Nowadays, we have a lot of websites that is having latest JavaScript frameworks and so on. For example, React.js, Node.js, Next.js, MERN Mean Stack, and so on. So most of the vulnerabilities that is existing uh, across the globe in the presence of websites and web application is due to websites that is not properly audited regularly. They get the requirements, they develop it, and there is no party that audited, third party that audited the website for security lapses, and which becomes the backdoor for the hackers who find vulnerabilities, and sometimes they can even bring down the websites. Assume that this web applications are connected to API endpoints and the database and so on, because I'm going to maintain this entire session in very simple terminologies. A hacker would be able to bring down the website, hack the API, connect with endpoints, and if it is connected to databases, they'll be able to brute force it if the websites are using form fields that is accepting sanitized data, or normal passwords like admin123 and so on, which is highly not recommended in terms of production usage. They'll be able to easily hack those databases and bring this website down. So a regular vulnerability assessment and prevention is required for any businesses that is having presence and having a websites online or a web application. So the next major thing is the API. API actually runs the entire internet in terms of e-commerce. We can say, for example, let's take an example of a food aggregator. Let's take an example of a travel aggregator. Even for, let's say, an example of a payment aggregator. Anyone who is having this mobile apps most of the time, or even the desktop application, without the API, they won't be able to run the entire e-commerce. API talk to multiple external sources. They sometimes fetch the data. They sometimes push the data. They provide authentication tokens. They provide more information that is used in developments day by day. For example, if I have to order something to be delivered to my home and I am using an app, and if the app is connected to a payment gateway, and the app that we have developed is going to call a payment gateway um, through an external payment gateway through an API, and the API in terms of responses, and there are a lot of things involved in this. So most of the time when it comes to API, many APIs are unsecured, and they don't properly protect the endpoint. Sometimes they leave the credentials and things that has to be secured in public access on the API codes and so on. And this is one backdoor for the hackers to exploit this, and they'll be able to make more damages that a developer can assume. So a regular VAPT of an API is very much required if the business is having presence in e-commerce and accept payments, handle customer database, handle logistics and so on. The next major thing is mobile application. Of course, prior to the usage of smartphones, most of the applications were having only digital presence, access through laptops or desktops. And nowadays we do have apps for almost all the e-commerce sites, supply chain ordering, even the kiosks that you are using in restaurants. All this come under this mobile application platform like Android and iOS. One of the major concern here is the security of these mobile apps is not always focused, and there are vulnerabilities that is existing, which only the security people will be able to identify and provide recommendations to the developers to fix it, resolve it, and so on. So regular vulnerability and vulnerability assessment penetration testing of mobile app is very much required. Even if you are releasing a patch of an existing app that is existing in Android or iOS App Store for a long time, even a small patch is released, we always recommend it to have a regular penetration testing of this, so that we get a confirmation whether there is any vulnerability that can be exploited by the hackers, and once it is remediated by the developers, the app will be safe to host. The other major thing is the network vulnerability assessment, testing, and infrastructure. And when it comes to network, we do have a couple of things, like one is external network penetration testing and internal network penetration testing. When we set up, like, let's say we are setting up a small office, we'll be having some routers, some switches, one firewall, probably a server that can be used as on-prem cloud. And so when we set up a small sys network, like a small office, home office kind of thing, terminology that is used in the past, most of the time we configure and we don't do a security audit of this. For example, a home router that is having admin as a username and password is insecure, in the sense a hacker will be able to tap into the network and get involved in terms of unethical activities, like creating a man-in-the-middle attack or tapping the network communication that is happening between your device and the internet. So regular VAPT of networks is very much required. Along with infrastructure, when it comes to infrastructure, it's a bigger scope beyond the network. Infrastructure will have a physical infrastructure assessment, a data center access, and a lot of things. Cloud, of course, it's been a decade, more than a decade, since most of the storage resource consumption, like network storage and processor, has moved from on-prem servers to the cloud. Cloud is actually the entire infrastructure that is running behind the entire day-to-day business digitally and for all the businesses across the globe. Of course, we may have like a 200 plus cloud platforms that is existing. We can name few, for example, AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud, DigitalOcean. You name it, every single continent, every single country, every single vendor will have their own cloud that is providing the infrastructure services for infrastructure, as well as many services, not in infrastructure, in the presence of cloud, in the terminologies on the cloud. And when we set up this infrastructure in cloud, it is not always known that the entire cloud infrastructure has been completely audited and secured. Sometimes, for example, an S3 bucket may be accidentally left open in AWS. Sometimes there is a possibility when someone accidentally provided full access for a read-only user in Microsoft Azure VM virtual machine, and if there is an activity running in Azure, there is a possibility when a user has left the company, but they didn't properly disable the user so that they no longer access it and so on. What if the user access this company resources and start exploitation because the user is no longer happy with the company and he left a long time before. So this is part of cloud security assessment. and we provide vulnerability assessment services in major cloud platforms mentioned in the slide: Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and GCP, Google Cloud. And when it comes to VAPT, of course, there are some standards and compliance requirements we follow. For example, VAPT services help the clients meet ISO 27001, SOC 2 audit, GDPR audit, and now we have DPDP that is released in India this November. And of course, who is behind all this audits, vulnerability assessment, pentest audits? Of course, we have certified experts. They align with industry methodology. For example, pentest execution standards, NIST, SP0015, and so on. And of course, they find including zero vulnerability, that includes zero false positives, and even every single finding is manually verified, and they provide actionable reports with the CVSS score. And also the report includes remediation steps for the client or the vendor or the developer to review and take measure to remediate that particular vulnerability. Of course, the client engage with the third-party audit provider in terms of full confidentiality, because the data is secured, nothing goes out of their boundaries, because a mutual NDA is agreed between both the parties. And post-audit, of course, there is always an ongoing retesting and support is provided. Now, coming back to the cybersecurity career opportunities focused discussion, because what we have discussed so far is actually connected to what we are going to discuss the next few minutes of time. So there is always this question asked by students, especially the final year students, and especially those who want to start a job in cybersecurity. The question asks this: as a beginner, as a fresher, as a student without an experience, can we get a entry-level job in cybersecurity, and why it is so hard to get into cybersecurity? That is one question being regularly asked. So I'm bringing your attention to one slide that is from India Skills Report 2022, page 70 of 87. Just like 5 years ago, it was consolidated in 2021 and published in 2022, I believe, highlighting 3 different technologies. One is AI. Of course, we know it's a hot topic more than cybersecurity nowadays. And cybersecurity, and the third one is the data science and analysis. This is from the NASCOM. Cybersecurity is a $35 billion opportunity that is going to create 1 million jobs. That is like a few years ago published by NASCOM. When it comes to cybersecurity careers list, these are some of the major cybersecurity career roles. And cybersecurity, of course, the market is expected to grow to $270 billion by 2026. This is statistics published like few years ago, but still 70% of the organizations say that they have worker shortage. This is another slide that is from World Economic Forum 2024 Cybersecurity Outlook Report. You can also refer a few things from cybersecurityventures.com regarding the skills shortage. We always have this 3.4 million to 3.5 million to 4 million unfilled positions in cybersecurity that is existing all the time. So skills are in demand. Of course, this is the shortage, and this is the cost or the impact close to $15 trillion. That is going to be the cost of a cybercrime project in the next 5 years. This is from Fortinet. So India, compared to the different geography, India is an emerging hub for cybersecurity services. In this slide, there are a few things highlighted. One is the managed security services, another one is consulting auditing, and third one is the system integrators. So about the talent pool and skills, we do have the talent overview. What are the challenges? Top 5 hiring product and services MNCs. And I would like to have your attention focused to the bottom right side, where they have listed few cybersecurity areas in demand. One is IAM, another one is digital transformation consulting, cloud implementation, GRC, audit facilitation, automations, and Security Monitoring and Operations Center, which I have discussed like few slides ago. So this is the statistics about the Indian cyberspace. This lists how much is the cost of the ransomware attack and what is the increase of cyber attacks in the past, and how much MSMEs are getting affected because of this cyber attacks and lack of cyber awareness and so on, we would say. Now, coming back to the discussion queries asked by few regular attendees and participants about the entry-level cybersecurity jobs. So, when someone publishes that they require an entry-level cybersecurity professional, 71% of the time, most of the time, 71%, the entry level is a code and indirectly referring to some experience required. The thing is, when they say entry level and when they say some experience required, how can a student, how can a fresher, how can an entry level professional get that some level of experience? So the idea here is they need to set up few things and learn and practice. For example, they can set up home labs, they can participate in relevant courses, and most important, they can try for internships. For example, there are platforms like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, One Hub, and so on for practicing cybersecurity. And there are courses, for example, CompTIA Pentest is one thing that provides US government approved DoD certification content, and the another one is INE, EJPT for entry-level professionals, and Try Hack Me. There is one in junior Pentester, for example, Try Hack Me, and Hack the Box. We have an examination called the CPTS. These are the relevant courses. Of course, some are a little advanced for freshers, but good reference to start with. This is all suggestions only, not even recommendations. And only 8% of these jobs asked for paid to professional experience. What it means? Let's say you worked as an intern for almost 6 months to 1 year for a cybersecurity company, and even if you are not in a full-time salary, it doesn't matter for them. All they want is they want to have your profile assessed for whether you have the skills, whether you have the knowledge for solving day-to-day problems. For example, if a client is going live with a new update of the web application another 10 days of time, and they want to have the website audited, and as a professional, when you want to be involved in that audit, the question here is, are you have the capability to take the audit and complete it professionally, ethically, before that deadline? Most of the time, people think, okay, I know our stuff and I know this, I know that, and so on. So now I'm able to do an audit and deliver this final report to the client. That is their assumption. But in reality, it's not about the report, only the report. What if there is one vulnerability hidden and it was not identified by the Pentester, and the Pentester says that the application is safe to host, and the third-party client believed that the application is now safe to be hosted and went online. And they spent a lot of money for business activities like marketing and so on, and assume that within 24 hours or 36 hours or 40 hours, someone find a loophole, someone find a backdoor, someone find a vulnerability and exploited it, which could have been properly assessed as part of the security audit by the pen tester itself. So the skills and requirements, skills and knowledge matters a lot, rather than where you do your internship, whether your internship is paid internship or you just participated as an intern just for upskilling and knowledge, gaining knowledge. Certifications, of course, a lot of employers seem to really like certifications. This is statistics. Over 83% of the job advertisements listed on the industry certification. Some of them are CompTIA Security Plus. The advanced certificates like CA, SSP are also part of this. And of course, it's not only the, for example, web application penetration testing was taught on vulnerabilities in web app, API, and so on. Almost 92% of job posts ask candidates to be familiar with the framework, standards, and regulations, which means we expect you to know about how GDPR is connected to a business that has asked a vulnerability assessment penetration, how HIPAA is connected to this health insurance portability accountability, and how DPDP Act of India, Digital Privacy and Data Protection Act is connected to all these things. These all comes under frameworks, or some are regulations, and some are standards. For example, HIPAA is a standard, and the GDPR is a regulation. That's a difference between this. These are some of the commonly listed frameworks and regulations in job advertisements. Of course, there are questions in the past from many of the students. They want to have a remote job in cybersecurity entry level itself. The reality is, remote for cybersecurity for beginners, those opportunities doesn't exist a lot. Only 11% of the jobs are almost, okay with a freshers or a junior employee to be remote 100% of the time. In terms of cybersecurity for the domain, most of the employers expect the candidates to be on site, either in their office or in the client place, for example. That is on site. Soft skills, of course, there is always another assumption that the people who are like qualified OSCP or CPTS or any JPT, because they assume that they have all the skills for becoming a pentester. Sometimes they couldn't go ahead because of the lack of some of the soft skills. So industry requires, beyond tech skills, the industry requires soft skills like problem solving skills, analytical skills, written and oral communication skills, and so on. For example, what if pen tester are able to identify a vulnerability but unable to communicate the same to a client during a discussion when the final report is discussed? And what if the pen tester, if they are unable to explain how to remediate a vulnerability and how to explain to the client to justify how severity the risk is if such a vulnerability is not remediated? So soft skills, of course, it matters a lot. And this skills gap is not shrinking at all. This is a slide that is provided in the statistics, and this slide has some cybersecurity certification that is mentioned as part of many of the job advertisements. And this is one slide taken from another internet source, some major roles, and one liner about what this role does. And now, due to the emergence of AI, this is a new battleground in terms of cybersecurity as well, because there are two sides of it. One, weaponization of AI. AI is used to create a malware, AI is used to create backdoors, AI is used to create sophisticated attacks, targets, and so on. At the same time, there is the ethical side where people use AI, people depend on AI, people use AI to augment cybersecurity to mitigate the risk that is happening because of hackers, because of AI augmented attacks. So AI is also becoming the vaccine for the pandemic that is created by AI itself. So cybersecurity in the age of generative AI, this is from the source, a McKinsey company. 53% of the organizations acknowledge that cybersecurity as a Gen AI related risk, but only 38% are actually working in real time to mitigate this. Even though they acknowledge it, they are still wrapping up. and resolving things in a fastest way to get. Another thing, traditional cybersecurity versus AI security. So in traditional cybersecurity, the attack focus on exploiting the code vulnerabilities, whereas in Gen A related cybersecurity threats, the attack focus is on exploiting AI's decision making. And in terms of traditional security, only the expert hackers were part of this entire cyber attacks, and so on. But when it comes to AI, even a person who doesn't have this technical understanding of cybersecurity can still misuse AI to create a cyber threat. That is one major difference between the traditional cybersecurity versus AI security. And this is one newspaper snip. This is from Mandiant, a person called Steve from Mandiant. Mandiant is acquired by Google long before. In detail, he has elaborated how AI can address cybersecurity talent gap. And of course, when it comes to AI and cybersecurity, we rely on AI for a lot of things that includes anomaly detection, ML, threat intelligence, natural language processing, or threat analysis, and so on. So types of AI-driven cyber attacks, of course, we have three major. One is the AI-enhanced attacks. Another one is the AI-enabled attacks. The third one is AI-targeted attacks. This slide elaborates about the same. What it does, what are the core topics. For example, in AI target attacks, adversarial machine language is used to trick AI, for example, bypassing the facial recognition. Certification, of course, we have mentioned few recommended certifications of certification providers. This is not the complete list. This is not the recommended list. This is just suggestions from top 5 or top 10 across the globe. And of course, we do have a WhatsApp channel. You can follow this channel for regular updates and so on. I will now provide the Google form link for submitting your data for certificates, and also we will provide you the link tree details in the chat as well as in LMS, and also the YouTube chat as well, where you can reconnect with us. Of course, now it's a time for Q&A. We will be having some announcement in the near immediate future, for example, in terms of internship, in terms of SOC hiring, in terms of offensive security hiring for 2026 and 27 graduates. So if you have any questions, you can please post it to the chat. I'll be able to answer better. Once again, on behalf of BCBUZZ Technologies, I thank you everyone for your time today, and we'll open the chat for discussion for the next 10 minutes. We'll take up the queries that is posted on YouTube chat and learn.biz.io for LMS. We will answer these queries. Thank you.